started realizing, okay, I think I need to relax a little bit more because I was flying, I was doing CrossFit, I was doing weightlifting, I was going for swing yoga, swimming, and all of this. I put sleep as my priority.
Hello and welcome to the next episode. Today I have Timea with me and our guest Agna or Agata.
Yes.
Agatka.
Agatka.
Nice. Whatever works for you. She is 10 years flight attendant. How do you say it?
Cabin crew. Flight attendant.
Crew
Stewardess
for major company in Dubai. And she is going to tell us about her fitness journey, her fitness life, and also all the troubles, benefits, and challenges that comes with such a life when you are all around the world within a couple of weeks.
With the time change and zone.
With jet lag and everything.
Weather and all of this, yes.
Weather as well, cool. So let's start with your childhood and how did you get into sport if you were doing some and so on?
Of course, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you, Tima and Paolo. They are very good friends of mine, so I'm very lucky to be here and know them in Dubai. As you know, Dubai is a home away from home for all of the expats. We love it here. And let's say about my childhood. So I come from Poland. I come from like center east part of Poland, nearby Poznań. It's the 5th biggest city in Poland. And I come from a very small town. It's like 600 inhabitants there. So
you call it town? We call it village.
Village, yeah, let's call it as it is. And I'm proud of it, actually. Before I was having like kind of like complexes about it, but then come on, why would I, it's a beautiful village. It's amazing to be there and nature and everything, and teaches you a lot. Yeah, exactly. So my sports would start there, actually. Running around, and in the secondary school we call it gymnasium. I don't know how we call it in Slovakia.
We also can have gymnasium, it's like a little bit higher standard high school, where you are not taught any craft and you are expected to kind of go to the college after.
Okay, I see. Yeah. So we have that like called technicum. But anyway, this is the secondary school after primary when you're like 14, up to 16 year old. So that's when my, let's call it school career sports started with hurdles. I was in a team in my school. We done some relay racing and also floorball. It's like a hockey, but not on the ice, and not on the grass. It's inside.
I played for floorball as well. I was always surprised how very well unknown it is everywhere around.
Yeah, just Europe probably.
Yeah, but you have basically a kind of imitation of a hockey stick. It's all plastic.
Sorry.
That's fine. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. You have a hockey stick that's plastic. You have a plastic ball with the holes.
Exactly.
And you play indoor mostly.
Indoor, yeah. And the goal is quite small. The gate.
And the goalie is on his knees.
Exactly. And it's quite dangerous because it's like a lot of players in a small space. So we might get injured. Anyway, I just went home now for leave 1 week ago, and I found in my magic box, let's call it my souvenirs memories box, with all the postcards, Valentine's card and birthday cards. I found a little paper of a magazine that I took off the magazine. I cut it out in 2003. It was about my regional championship that we won first place. So to see it was so amazing, and that's how I just realized like how far ago it reaches my experience with sports and
20 years
and team, and playing in a team. So I think from there I also kind of experienced a lot of teamwork, which now it's amazing for my job. Because being a flight attendant, you need to be really good as a team member to get together and to get the job done all together. And then also I was running a lot, like 2 kilometers, 400 meters. Then university came and I was a swimmer. I used to love swimming because I come from a village. And when I was a little kid, I would also ask my mom if I can go to a pool to swim. But since we were living far from the pool, they would need to drive me there. And of course, we didn't have much money for that. So they had to say no to me. So as soon as I reached university and there was like more possibilities to do that. Yeah, opportunities. I would go there every single day and I would stay 2 hours in the pool just because I loved it so much.
And also, as you said, the hurdles, so athletic discipline and floorball, when you were playing those, it was basically because your high school outside of your village in a little bigger city was offering it.
Right? Yeah, that's why. Okay. That's why. And in hurdles, I also established like a record in my secondary school, even though I fell. My teacher was like, "Come on, Agata, get up!" And then I was like, "Okay, I think it's the time to get up." And I fell just before the finish line. And even though I still managed to do the record there, so I'm like, damn, why I had to fall,
Okay.
I would already be like, okay, that's over. Let me just relax here on the floor. But she was yelling at me. So, okay, that's a big kick. And then I started going again.
Not to offend anybody, but then the competition probably wasn't that great when you...
No, it was. The girls were amazing. But it was also my very first time to wear like special shoes with the needles, like the spiky ones.
Yeah.
For the gravel to like kind of dig in. So we were kind of faster. So it was like, wow, I'm so fast. I didn't know because we were training only on a field, like normal field for running. Without the special graver and the special shoes.
Okay, then swimming, was it somehow organized or it was just you going to the pool?
No, I was just going to the pool. We had a swimming teacher. He would just pull me aside and just show me what to do. And I would just copy what he tells me. Because he saw how ambitious I was and how I loved it. So he was like, okay, this girl, you can come anytime I'm here on the class and you will take any lane that is empty, like vacant, and you will use it. So I just took some of my friends and we were going there or just by myself. 2 hours.
You were competing?
No, I wasn't. It was just for myself.
Okay, so you were not competing because you were not interested?
No, I wasn't. Even though I was ambitious. And no, because also on that note, I need to say that I was studying 2 fields of study at the same time. I was studying German language and also tourism. So I didn't really have time to go that far to compete and everything because all my time took actually the commute from one university to the other. One was in the north, one was in the center. So sometimes there was days that I had to stay in the center, go all the way to north to the other university, come back, and again up in the north. So that took me too much time, but I still found the time to do the swimming in the morning.
So you were practically studying 2 universities at the same time?
Yeah.
And how that went?
That was very interesting. It was very interesting. I mean, some of the subjects I could just make in the index, how we call it in English, like we call it index when you collect all the grades for all the subjects.
We didn't even have that. We had only online system, which I believe
later on, maybe I'm older. Later on, we also had that. So I was like, some subjects we could kind of maneuver and keep it the same. Teacher would give me the rate in 2 of the indexes. So I didn't have to attend twice the same class, which was okay. It was very tough. It means like the time-wise to organize myself, to go from one side to the other side. And then you have to also find time for social life and to study. So if I would do something differently, I wouldn't do these 2 fields of study at the same time. I would start with one and then maybe next year I would, what do I like, what I don't like, and then I would decide which one I would go for. Maybe something different rather than what I did.
For how long was this going on?
3 years German and 5 years tourism.
Okay, so
I didn't finish German because I didn't really like it. The atmosphere at the university was crazy.
But
it's
you
also
did 3 years of it, so
yes. But I learned it, right? So it's good for me.
So you speak fluent German?
I used to. 10 years ago was amazing. Like because the teacher would talk to you in German, like
when there is an announcement at the beginning of the flight.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes, and I believe your company does it as well. Like you do the German announcement.
Yes.
Okay, because they are. I mean,
pre-recorded.
They I don't know about that. I mean, they brag like, oh, we have crew that has combined like 25 languages. So do they count you as a German speaker?
Yes.
Okay,
of course. No, I'm just laughing that I used to, because I used to be really fluent. Now I would need to practice a little more. But when it comes to any emergency or anything, of course, I know how to speak. I know how to read. I know how to, of course. And
so you have, how many languages you understand?
Together it's Slovakian.
Well, you can count Slovakian.
No, I'm
but yeah.
It would be 4 with Italian, German, English and Polish.
Where you learned Italian?
So on the 4th year of study, that's when I finished the German. I didn't want to study it anymore. I decided I will go for a scholarship to Europe, to another city. One of the possibilities was Italy, Spain, and a little island, Reunion, next to Madagascar.
Okay.
Because they speak French there, and it's like a European colony there. So I chose that one, but because I didn't speak French, they didn't choose me. Anyway, I went to Italy without knowing even buongiorno. So then I went there. I stayed for 2 semesters actually. They chose me for 1, but then there was possibility to extend it, so I stayed for 1 year. The first 3 months, actually, I had to speak English because I never spoken English. Like I was super blocked. You know, when you study from books and you don't have like live language contact, you have like a blockage. So then when I went to Italy and then I was thrown into deep water with all these European friends that I met, I had to. I just had to speak English.
You were learning 2 languages at the same time.
I had to start speaking English. And then after that, after the first semester, I moved to a house with Italians. And then that was even deeper water because they don't speak English at all. And that's when I started to learn language as it is. Like they had to talk to you and somehow you understand, like you were a little kid, like when parents talk to you. And I think this is the best way to learn any language.
Yeah, so that was my next question. Like, what do you think helped you the most to improve this kind of, in this kind of situation where you practically need to talk, but at the same time, it's completely new language, very different, right? Yes. So what was the breaking point where you really started to pick it up?
I started to pick it up when we went hitchhiking to Sicily and Sardinia with 2 friends of mine. They just arrived from Poland, so they had 0 knowledge about Italian. And we also had like 3 months courses before that. So we were in a car sitting and it was so awkward not to talk to anyone, to the driver that took you. And it's like, out of kindness, you would actually like to speak. So I started like slowly like speaking, and I would ask in Italian, oh, how do you say this word? And then I describe, and then they would say the word. And then I just automatically have to say that again out loud. And then it will just stay in your head whenever you want to use it again. Or when you're surrounded with people who speak only that language, then you absorb it. And I remember I was having conversation with my friend Ludovico. And I was talking to him in Italian, and then all of a sudden I stopped and I kind of switched my conscious mind, and I'm like, Ludovico, wait, did I just say this word? He's like, yes. Did I use it correctly, like the grammar? He's like, yes. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I just never read it. I never learned it. I just heard it, someone speaking to me, and now I just can say it out loud with a proper grammar. So I think this is the best way to learn language. Just to
go there
and be surrounded.
So you also do Italian announcements on flights?
Yes.
Yeah. You're busy there. Yeah.
Busy. And I also do a lot of duty-free sales. We were talking about it.
Yeah. Cool. So sport next. What was next?
Then next university.
Did you do any sport when you were in Italy?
Yes, that's a very interesting actually fact. I went to Italy and I was so busy traveling, so busy studying, so busy meeting new people, and of course social life and everything. So we were just walking actually, and it was super expensive. I found a pool in the little town. It's called Macerata. It's in Marche region next to Ancona, like on an Adriatic Sea on the East Coast.
You just said so many words that I don't know, but okay, let's go with
anyway,
it.
if you look at the map of Italy, and it's like a boot. So if you look at the calf.
Oh, I know you studied tourism,
so
and
it's there. It's on the
your like
right
map
side.
and geography awareness is great, but I'm like, I didn't even know where UAE is until I was actually moving here. Yeah.
All right, so let's say
roughly, but
Italy on the right side of the boot, next to the sea.
Well, there you go. That I can understand.
Where I was, and I found a pool, but it was like 25 euro per month or something. We were not getting any money at this time. Like a month, I was getting 200 euro from university, and just alone to pay for the rent was 160 euro. So I ended up being like everything from my savings. Mm-hmm. And I was a student, so that was quite tough. So this Erasmus didn't really work for me, let's call it financially. I learned a lot, of course. Was the best. Yes, was the best time of my life. So swimming didn't work there. We just were walking and traveling a lot. And like I didn't know too much. Yes, of course. Yeah, everywhere. And then what did I want to say?
Were you swimming at the sea? Like, were you close to the...
Yeah, but you need to take a train there. Anyway.
Okay.
So anywhere I saw some water, I would go and jump in there. Mm-hmm. And in Italy, I also had an injury with my left knee. So I had to go and see a doctor. And he asked me, can you flex the left quadriceps? I'm like... right, it's done. He's like, no, you have zero muscle. So at this time I was like, okay, there's something I have to do about myself, about the muscle.
What happened with the knee?
A year earlier I went for skiing, and the ski wouldn't detach when I fell. So I twisted the knee. And then also when I was in Macerata in Italy, I also fell on the same knee, and that's when it exaggerated it, and that's when I actually started feeling pain. So I went to the doctor, and he told me, oh, you don't have any muscle around the knee area. So that's when it was a wake-up call for me. Even though I was doing sports a lot, then you see like there is no contraction of the muscle around this area. So I think that was a wake-up call to start doing some gym and start working on.
So you started to work out after that?
Yes. And after that, I had to have a surgery actually, because I broke my meniscus medius, which is on the inside of the knee. So the doctor, he sewed it back in Poland. That was already after the Erasmus. He sewed it, and then I started going to gym like religiously. Mm-hmm. To build the muscle around and physio.
Where you got your program from? Or how did you know what to do in the gym?
Physiotherapy, yes. Mm-hmm. From the same place I did the surgery.
So they got you a good physio, yeah?
Yes.
Well, that's, I mean, not to offend anybody, but it's pretty rare, especially when we talk about 10, 15 years ago, right?
Like 2011, yeah.
Yeah, so that wasn't really always the case that somebody injured will get a proper instruction how to fix it, how to train it, and how to reestablish the strength or whatever is needed.
I was quite lucky because a friend of mine, she recommended me one student. He was really ambitious, so he was like doing the clavicotherapy. How would you say, Tima? You know it, clavicotherapy. Like you have needles and you just press on the scar and so on. And he was telling me how to work out. He was giving me also like a cushion, like a bosu ball, but it's like more like a cushion. So you do like stabilization and everything. I was doing a lot of contraction, like leg press and all of this stuff. Yeah.
So like progressive.
To build around the muscles.
Okay, and that worked well.
That worked really well, and then I started going to gym. And that's how it continued.
And then after finishing the school,
I came to Dubai straight away.
Really?
I had interview in February, and then June, straight after I passed my master's, I came to Dubai 1 week after.
Also, you actually...
That is my first job, actually. A real job.
First so far. So you had the job set up even before you finished?
Yes, so the airline, they go around the world and they do the interviews. It takes around 1 to 3 days, depending how many attendees they are. For us, it took us 2 days because we were 200. So first day, they would just go through the CV and they would see whoever has a tattoo. So that's a big no, if it's a visible one.
Straight away?
Yeah, straight away. They just don't tell you even a feedback. They just, thank you for coming back. Yeah, that's a big no.
And how did you got to know about this? That they are coming?
Exactly. So after my surgery, I was at home lying now in the bed, like giving myself some injection for the blood circulation and everything. After surgery, you need to get exactly. What's the
Fraxipan, but I don't know.
It's against blood clot, right?
Clots,
yes.
So you don't get the blood clot.
So we don't get the blood clot.
I knew a guy. He was my classmate, and he did very basic, stupid ACL repairment. Didn't took the drug and died within 3 days.
Oh my God.
Because he was too tough for this.
Ego.
Ego. He didn't want to take it, and they found him with the package he was supposed to take for a couple of days. It was empty, and he died, which is,
after
stupid.
surgery,
It's just plain
the
stupid.
area is so swollen. Like you need to take care of the wound and everything. So I was really religious about it. And then I was lying in the bed for so long, trying to recover. And then I was just Googling stuff. I would just go and check what is A380, which airline has the most, what is it like to be in Dubai. And I also was studying tourism, and I remember seeing the Burj Al Arab in the news, like in the book, and it says like it's 7-star hotel, and I'm like, wow, what is it? So I started Googling everything, and then I came up to this airline. And I was like, okay, let's give it a try. So I started checking the blogs from different people, like how they attended it before, what are the tips and tricks, and when is the next interview. And they came to Krakow.
So you were more interested in Dubai itself than the actual company?
I was, first of all, very interested in A380, the biggest airplane. Mm-hmm. Then it led me to the airline. Okay. And then it led me to the city where they're based.
So all connected.
All connected. All good for me at this time, because coming from this small village, when every day during holiday you would come to your mom and brag her like, Mom, please, I'm so bored. Can we do something? There was nothing around. Like I had to beg them to go to a lake or anything like that. And I would just spend my whole holiday with my cousin and we would play together. So for me, that was something wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it impressed you straight away? It did
impress me because everything is here, everything is available. And now if you look at the gym every week, maybe we have a new gym opening, and the equipment is just incredible. Like everything is new and modern.
So you applied?
I applied.
You were accepted,
yeah,
obviously.
It was tough. It was 2 days. They accepted maybe 3 people out of 200.
Really?
Yes. First day, they did the big elimination. They just chose maybe like 20 people out of 200 for the next stage. And then we would do like a group teamwork. Like we had to build a bridge in between 2 tables using only paper and rubber. Mm-hmm. Like how we call it?
Like rubber bands?
Yeah, rubber bands.
Okay.
And they were observing you, how you behave. If you're a good leader, you're good in teamwork. If you are nice to the other people, what you prioritize. If it's a teamwork, if it's the job to be done, I remember I just said, guys, we need to build a strong base. Let's focus on that. So everyone was like, oh, okay. So then they were like trying to do that with me. And then I also tried to say to one girl that I knew, I'm like, hey, let's do this. You need to say that out loud. So I was also helping her to get the job.
Did she get it?
Yes.
Perfect.
They all just observe you. And then we had an English test. And that was the day number 1 from 9 a.m. until like 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
It was tough, 11 hours.
When you mentioned this test, I did this course, one of the courses at uni. We were doing kind of learning how to set up such an environment and how to set up this kind of team building and what to look for. Because doing it, especially when it's job interview or part of job interview, you very quickly realize that it's not about the task you have in front of you. It doesn't matter if it will work, if the bridge will be stable or anything. They're just observing the behavior. And we got a rope, a circle on the floor, and that was like no-go area. You couldn't step in. And you had a bottle of champagne in the middle, which was opened, and you got strings and rubber bands, and that was it. And outside of the circle, you got a couple of glasses, and you were supposed to pour the champagne to the glasses without spitting out.
How did you do that?
So you need to you need to make sure that the bands are attached properly around the bottle, at the top, at the bottom, and then level it out. So, first pull it to the edge of the rope so nobody steps in. And again, the task was absolutely unimportant. The team building. And then when some people actually realized what just happened to them, when like some people were just on the side, did nothing because they were not driven enough to contribute. Some people just try to organize everybody, but they don't really have a plan. And it's very interesting what you can actually learn about yourself, not even for the evaluation, but about yourself. So a lot of psychologists are using this.
A lot of psychology. And also after the task, you're saying, oh my God, did I do that correctly? Or why I didn't do that and that? And why would I behave in this certain way, which now I regret sometimes. And also it happens on board. Sometimes you give attitude to someone from your team and you're like, why? Then you go and apologize because it was you. It wasn't about the other person. You never know where the other person comes from. You cannot judge. You don't know what happened to them at this day. And what's interesting in my job, we are 120 nationalities in one space, and you always fly with someone you never flown before. Mm-hmm. So it's always the first impression. It's always like you need to show kindness, compassion. You need to be like helpful and not only thinking about you, but it's you. Like the teamwork is the union. The team is you. Mm-hmm. So it's really important how you look at it, what you prioritize.
Do they teach you this?
No. That's why you go through all this drama, through all this interview.
But I mean,
and they also do the psychological test at the end, and then the next day they do a face-to-face interview. And
later on, when you are in the training, do they teach you this kind of behavior skill?
No. We have only emergency, image uniform, service, so and medical. Yeah.
So the practical stuff.
2 months. Every day, 9 hours.
So basically, when you're an asshole, you're just not getting in. It's not like they will make you not being an asshole.
Yes, they have a lot of checklists to go through to get selected.
So when you started flying, how was it?
It was wow. It was something like, wow. I remember my first flight was to Italy, I was up to the roof because being in Dubai for 2 months during Ramadan 2012, everything was closed. When I arrived, it was sandstorm. Everything was dusty. I wouldn't see the next building because of the sand. So that was my very first experience in Dubai when I landed. And they put me in the desert, like behind the airport at this time. Now I live in a nice place. So the training was very tough. You asked me how was the Dubai, right?
Yeah.
So training was very tough. My very first flight was to Italy, so I got really excited because that's where I used to live, and I could go do my groceries and I could eat my favorite food. I didn't mention, but I gained 10 kilograms when I was in Italy for the 1 year. Imagine.
All the pasta.
Imagine how amazing the food was. And then I remember my very first time going outside of Europe and Middle East was Sydney and Bangkok. So when I look at the Opera House, I started crying. That's how emotional it was for me. And then we also went to Christchurch in New Zealand. So that was my first flight, and I really, really enjoyed that experience. It was wow.
I know kind of few cabin crew ladies and guys as well, and they always say first year and a half, it's everything is new. Everywhere where you go, there's something new. Even you've been there a couple of times, there's always something to explore. I always make fun of some people when I see that they're crew member and they have on Instagram that they are world traveler. I was like, well, okay.
You are, but
you are, but
but
it's different. Yeah, it's different when you have a limited time, and also life in Dubai was kind of easy at the beginning, right? Because everything is taken care of.
For me, it was very easy comparing to other expats because we had the visa set, we had the flights, we had 50 kilos to come here, the baggage, so I could take some stuff. But then, we travel and you buy a lot more. And then we had accommodation provided, transportation to the airplane, to the aircraft, I mean. So we have the transportation and everything is taken care of, actually. It was very easy for me to settle.
And I can imagine I can't imagine how great that all was after, as you said, a girl from 600 citizen village, and then you suddenly in middle of such a well-organized machine where everything works perfectly, everything is set up for you, and you just travel for life, right?
And also I was so surprised when I came to the training college and the teachers were actually using every single kind of learning techniques to actually teach you. They were very interactive. They would show you videos. You had to do something, some mock-ups. You have a simulator, a real cabin situation with the pool. So if there is a ditching, God forbid, you just jump in there. You actually inflate the slide raft and you actually detach it yourself in the simulator,
I've seen the pictures.
It was a real.
Yeah.
So for me, there was so much stimulus to learn that for me, it was very easy to learn when you compare it to German language at university in Poznan, where you had a professor that would only speak to you in the same tone of voice and no volume, was so monotonic.
Yeah.
You just wanted to sleep. So
and also compared to, I can say post-communist country educational system, right? Yeah. Where we are coming from, when there is just a little bit of practical stuff and some interaction, you're like, oh, this is amazing. There was me on level 1, even though I had a very practical university where it was already different, but that practical stuff and keep trying, that's not something what we are used to.
Exactly. So then I was like, wow, this is something I really enjoy and something I really can absorb it faster and more efficient. And that's I really liked. And also when I went to the headquarters of the company, I saw people smiling and using the names. Because in Poland, you don't say hi, Paolo. You would say Mr. Masaryk, right? You would, out of respect. But here in our company, everyone's talked to each other per name, which is really warm and welcoming, open. I really like it, and I was shocked when people started smiling to strangers, because in Poland you don't even look in the eye. You sit in a tram, and if you look at someone's eye and you smile, they think you're crazy.
Yeah, so they call police because this is some creep going on here. Yeah.
So this was wow, I'm in a different world.
And, you mentioned that there's 120 nationalities. Is it difficult to adapt to everybody's cultural differences? And like, were you in a situation where this was like the root cause of certain issue you had between people?
I have a lot of experience, but not many experience with this kind of issues, because what I learned is like you are on board and you just forget about your previous, like, not background, but you still have your personality, but you cannot bring like, oh, you have this religion, you were raised in a village, so you have to bring what you were doing there. It's like another culture. It's like our airline culture. We don't have 120 cultures. We all come together and we create one union airline culture, and we all kind of communicate and understand each other in this way. If you know what I mean.
This reminds me definitely on a different level, but this is what a high level army training is doing. Like, they break down the individual and build them up together as a team. So probably something similar.
So we all have amazing personalities. I would say, like, we all bring the spirit up, but we try not to go too much into details about the culture and like, oh, in your country we do this, but we don't do it in our country, and then there's conflict. We try to just avoid it, or we kind of, after all this time and experience, we blend it together. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. When you talk about it, it sounds just like how amazing everything is. Have you ever had a problem that you used language, let's say your language, to some of your colleagues, and there were people who also understood, but they were not supposed to understand that?
That happened. That was very funny, actually. I was flying with another Polish girl. I was on the left, she was on the right in business class. And she was saying, oh, look at this guy, he's so cute. And I'm like, yeah, good looking. And she was saying that in Polish. Then we go to the cabin and I offer him something. It's like, oh, guys, you're from Poland? In Polish. So we were like, oh, blushing all over. He's like, oh, that was a nice compliment. Many things like this happen. Especially when you swear in Polish. You need to be really, really, really careful.
It's very universal, because like whole Middle Europe will understand you.
This word that you're thinking, maybe yes.
You can say it.
We have so many. We were actually discussing it with your friend. Jacob was here and your brother was here.
Yes, and Daniel.
And Daniel, and we were actually trying to understand each other with all these prefixes.
Yeah.
The, od, do, and it made totally different meaning.
Yeah.
But
you have
the
one
same
word,
words. Yeah. One word.
Base of the word you can use in so many ways, and all of it is swearing, basically.
Yeah, and we have very similar words, but they have completely different meaning.
Yeah.
We discovered together.
When you started to fly, because you need to keep, as far as I know, you need to keep certain standard of look,
yes,
let's say.
Yes, we have a training as well. There's a standard and there's, let's say, a checklist, and you have to...
So who is assessing you? How this works?
At the beginning in training college, they teach you everything and you're supposed to keep up the standard, and you just do it. Then we also have, we call it a police. This is very funny. The ladies, they do random checks on us if we have any shortcuts, like the skirt was too short because it was laundering so many times and stuff. Or there is, like makeup missing, or hair is messy with like old baby hair around. They will stop you and they will correct you and they will tell you, next time you come, we will also check on you. So make sure you...
Fashion police.
Yes, fashion police. I also know about it.
Yeah,
okay, it's very famous. No, we just keep the standards.
And
we know what's our job, and that's what we signed for, so we just do it.
Okay, but that means you talking about, let's say, your jacket, skirt, shoes,
and
cap,
makeup,
and so on.
Yeah.
What about certain, like, is there a weight limit? Or
yes, this is also a BMI. They check BMI.
They check your BMI?
Yes, they check BMI. If it's too high, then they just ask you for the weight management. I don't have any problem with this and any experience, but I only heard from different people how does it work.
It's like, that's a very nice way to say, like, they ask you for a weight management.
Yeah,
No,
so
but,
people get grounded. They have to go through like certain weeks of. They have weeks of weight management program, and they have to go and be checked like on a scale every
It
week.
just occurred to me, Tima, I will give
Tima
you
wanted
words.
to say.
It just occurred to me that when you say they get grounded, you know, like how they say it in English language, it's like your kids can't go out or anything. Yeah. So in your world, that's also a very straightforward.
You're on ground,
Yeah,
yes.
you are literally on ground. You are grounded, not flying anywhere.
Yeah, I was also grounded one time, but that's we're gonna talk about it.
We'll talk about that. Tima?
No, I was just thinking that the nurses, they are the let's say, the most unhealthy profession because of the night shifts, and you have a lot of these time changes and jet lags. So I was always wondering how come all the cabin crew still looks that good.
Actually, when I started flying, everyone was like unhealthy, whatever. But then there was this kind of fashion, let's call it, chia seeds, all the spirulina, all this stuff. Because cabin crew, they love makeup, they love skincare, perfume, and then it's a word of mouth. So they just talk to each other, and then they started talking about weight loss, how to stay like fit, how to like. They emphasize on drinking water on board, and they help each other. They always talk to each other. So I think that was 2013 when they started doing the chia seeds.
Chia seeds.
They put it in the water, and then it started like the snowball started rolling.
What is it supposed to do?
That's how they say it's. That's supposed to fill up your stomach so you don't eat that much because it expands in the stomach, right? If you put chia in the water, they will
It's
swell.
also psyllium.
And there's a lot of nutrients, right?
Yeah,
and
psyllium, it's basically a lot of fiber. Yeah, a lot of fiber. And when you drink it with water, it's also like a sponge going through a small intestine. So it's like cleaning the walls. So it's supposedly very healthy.
They also say like detox,
Yeah.
So word of mouth. Then we started all getting this amazing gyms access for free. And we had we have membership card that allows us to access gyms, and also there are people who work for this membership card, and they also make events like fitness events, yoga, spinning classes, anything like that. And then I see crew are starting going to a lot of events like this. On layovers, they always go for running. They use gyms. It's really nice to see like how everything changed during all this 10 years.
Feed Republic gave you a free access, right?
Yes,
yeah,
and
it attracts
warehouse.
guys, right? They attract other clients
Yes,
by bringing
that's true.
by bringing girls for free.
Yeah, there's so many of them, which I love. Anything that is pro health, pro fitness, really good.
But now we know that it's reversible. You know, even if you have unhealthy job, you can still take care of yourself. But it's maybe interesting that why they are not offering this to healthcare providers, for example, or I don't know, taxi drivers or something. Also,
police
like
officers.
Free gym. Police officers, I think they do have gym access.
Metalized, CrossFit Metalized, they had like 2 p.m. every day.
But I mean, not everywhere in the world, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
but
and
right,
I mean, like for free for these kind of workers.
in Poland, we actually have the card that you can access some.
I believe that there is a program in Slovakia, or program like the system is set up a way that these, let's say, high strain workers, I know who is included, but I believe army, police officers, maybe some medical stuff, they have extra 2 weeks a year holiday just to kind of compensate for the strain they have at work. But that doesn't mean that they are healthier, right? Because what you do the rest of the days, that matters. That's what matters. Okay, so you start flying. Mm-hmm. When did you start to did you start to feel some impact of the flights? Like, oh shit, like this is not really great for let's say sustainability. Like now you're 10 years in, so it is kind of sustainable, but still jet lags. What would be your
The worst?
Yeah, like what is the worst?
The pressure. I think also when you go through the North Pole, there is how we call it,
radioactivity?
Yeah, radioactivity.
Is it from Russians testing the rockets, or?
I have no idea.
Yeah, because they do it on Sibir.
Really? So when you go through the North Pole, there you have a lot of impact. Also pressure. When you take off land, your organs, they expand, they swell, and they shrink. Like, let's say you have a bottle of water that you just drank, you already open it, and you have like little left. When you land, this bottle will shrink. So that means the air is sucked out. That the same happens to your organs. So when you eat before landing, you will feel very, very full after landing. Mm-hmm. So this one, also the shift work, which is, for example, now I will have 3 a.m. departure, Miami flight. I arrive there will be like 9 hours difference, time zone, different timing. Thankfully, this like the weather-wise will be almost the same. The worst is when it's a winter time in New York or Europe. You go there, it's -20. Like St. Petersburg was -25. So you need to be prepared.
So the cabin pressure is the worst.
Cabin pressure and time zones. Yes, I think climate, weather change. For example, I go to Europe now. I have pain in my joints, but this is also from my childhood. When I was a little girl, I had like rheumatic. You call it rheumatic pain.
Fever.
In your joints, like when there was a weather change, when there was like a pressure, also atmospheric pressure,
or I don't know if you, but you don't have it now.
No, because I live in Dubai, and here, like the weather is amazing. It's always super.
You mean
warm.
only with the weather?
With the weather change, yeah. It's very popular in Poland, actually. Yeah, everyone has it. Rheumatism. I have to Google it. Yeah, it's the same. So that was quite tough. And the shift work, the night, like you need to rest before flight. Then during the flight, you're like, oh my God, I want to die. Like it's super, you are fatigued. So you also ask me when did it start and everything. So the first 3 years were okay. For me, priority was explore. So I didn't sleep. I didn't really focus on my health. Of course, I was going to gym. I was running and everything. I was using swimming pools and everything, whatever was possible I was doing to keep my body healthy. But I wasn't really focusing on the sleep, because for me, the priority was to explore. And then on the way back, I would die on the flight because I was so sleepy.
When you were, how you forced yourself to do this? Because let's say it was pre-COVID time, obviously, 10 years ago or 10 to 7 years ago. In that time period we're talking about, you were having 1 or 2 flights a week, depends on how far you go.
Yeah, let's say 100 flying hours a month. It's really like, it varies. Sometimes you have 5 flights, sometimes
like
you have
100 flying hours means that you spend 100 hours in the plane.
Yeah.
Which means if you go to New York is 14 hours?
14.
14, so we go 14.
And 14 back.
14 back.
28. So that's one flight. So it takes 1 week from the roster of a month. So we have only one flight. But then if you have short flights, you might have like 3 in a row, which will take only like 10 hours or 12 hours, but you have already like 7 days taken from the roster. So it depends. So we also like to say it's 100 hours or roughly 100 hours, flying hours per month, because then it's a lot of procedure and regulations that you need to have certain rest before and after and in between the flights.
So you have a given rest in the destination you are at?
Yes, and before and after as well. And it has to be all calculated by the algorithm that we have in the system. And all our flights are system generated.
Oh, okay.
You can also ask for certain flights if you are like, we call it top bit. We are separated into 7 groups, and every month this will rotate. So one group, let's say in a year, you have twice possibility to ask for some flights, which is obviously in my case, Warsaw and maybe Switzerland to see my friend Maria, or let's say Lisbon to see another friend, Sofia, and so on. Depends. Also, you would bid for some flights like they have special occasions. Let's say St. Patrick's Day, you will bid for Ireland, or you would go to
Seasonal.
Boston. Yes, seasonal.
So basically, you're given, let's say, like they will tell you next 3 weeks, you are top bid, which means you can pick where you want to go.
Yeah, so they open the bidding system every month in the end of the month from 25th until the 5th of the next month. So that's when you, let's say now, May, you can bid for June. Yeah, they will actually, now they will open on 25th because today is 16th. So they will open on 25th of May to bid for July, and they will close it on the 3rd or 5th of June.
Okay.
So then you can ask for something in July.
All right. And then if it's opened for you, you know you're getting it.
Not necessarily, you hope for it.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
because there's so many of us. And this all changed, like, so the first 3 years I would be like prioritizing like going out and everything. Yeah.
Like, so you were doing this kind of volume of flights.
Yes, that was.
How you force yourself
to stay awake?
To stay awake, to go and train. Like, okay, I know you want to explore and you are motivated, but I would imagine that lasts for a couple of weeks and then the fatigue will start to kick in, right?
Yeah, on the worst was just the night flights. We would just, sometimes you need to take a nap, but you cannot, there is no possibility. In the very long flights, we call it ULR, ultra long range flight, which is over 11 hours. We have a special bed on board. We call it CRC, crew rest compartment. We go there and we stay for like 4 hours, 3 hours, depending on the time, depending on how many passengers you have and how much time you can fit in certain flying time.
So let's say there is, I'm making this up, 8
Yes.
of you.
Yes.
2 at a time can be resting.
Yes. No, 4 of us. Like if it's Boeing, it will be 2 shifts. So let's say it's 16 of us on Boeing and 8 of us can go on a break. So we do first service. First group goes on a break. We do second service. The second group will go on a break, and then
Is
third.
it okay to sleep there? I
Yes.
mean, like,
You're
like,
so
would you even fall
fatigued.
asleep?
Yes. You are so exhausted, you will. Sometimes I'm really exhausted and I cannot sleep in the CRC for I don't know what reason. And also it's because you are just running in the cabin, delivering the service, and then you have to go lay down and, now, Agata, 1, 2, 3, you have to fall asleep. It doesn't happen. You're still like hyper, yeah, from the service of, it's so much going on during service. And
correct me if I'm wrong. Is the bed that is what you said, crew
CRC?
CRC? Is it next to the department where there are dogs and cats and so on?
So we have 2 airplanes in my airline. One is A380, Airbus A380, the biggest one with 2 decks. The other one's Boeing 777. Boeing 777 will always have CRC compartment above economy where the head tracks are. It's really long. It will fit 10 bunks and 2 for pilots at the very end. And this is something many people will not know. There's one head track that will serve as an emergency exit. So in one head track on the right hand side, you won't have a handle to pull it down to open the head track, because we will open it in case of emergency. The main door is shut down or blocked or something, and we will go through the head track from there. So if you're sitting in economy, we are sleeping above you. In A380, we have 2. One is at the very end where the toilets are. So they remove toilets and they put the bunks, which are very tiny. You have it looks like piled up bunks, 3 by 3. So you have 3 walls, and on each wall you have 3 bunks piled up.
Okay.
So it's 9 people, and then pilots have separate compartment next to us with different door. We also have an emergency hatch to go to the cockpit door in case we cannot get from ours. It's all about emergency and safety on the airplane, so I have to say that. And the other CRC is in the lower deck at the very front, and it's next to the cargo, as you say, which we really enjoy more because it's more spacious and it's really quiet there.
Well, because I heard one guy saying that he was supposed to be sleeping, but he didn't get any rest because there was some animals in cargo and like dogs were barking, cats were screaming, and he couldn't get any sleep because it was like a wild zoo there.
I didn't experience this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so
just
I can say.
But it's possible that the animals are there.
It will be, but we don't hear them. I don't hear them in my
Okay.
airline. I don't know which airline he works for. The same?
Same.
Oh, okay. So maybe he
worked. He's not there anymore, but
okay.
I'm pretty sure it was the same. Cool. Okay, so keeping fitness up, what do you do? Like how you force yourself? You land somewhere, you are, let's say, you have somehow established a pattern where it's your night because you just landed, but it's 10 a.m. in that destination. You just landed, you go to hotel, and you want to get a workout in. Like how you force yourself to even do it?
As it's really depends on what were you doing before, what are you planning to do, where you are, what time is it, if the sun is up, and what you're planning. Like you want to go sightseeing, you would prefer to prioritize sleep or workout. I don't usually work out after landing because for me, being in the airplane is already a huge workout. My strain in the airplane is like, if you check the whoop, will be like 15 just from working.
Is your whoop even working? Because of the time difference?
Yeah, when you arrive to a different destination, no. It shows you the strain and everything, but then the time is a little bit weird.
Because I know there were some guys who were actually contacting the Whoop company, like, can you please do something about it? Because we would like to really use it, because it's a great tool for us to see how strained we are. But they were like, well, that's something that is extremely hard to put in as a variable, right?
Yeah, so
like
during
different time
the flight, it would record, but then when you land, then the settings will go automatically to the local time. So then you will be like, oh, now it's 2 p.m., but it was 2 p.m. like 10 hours ago. So you're like, you cannot calculate. But the strain would be there. So my strain was really hard. So when I land, I don't really work out. I try to relax, or I try to go straight away to eat something really healthy or hydrate myself or sleep. Now for me, priority would be sleep, because I see how it worked over the years. Well, in 2018, we had a management change, and priority for this management was to use cabin crew to the limit. They wouldn't hire new ones, but they would use the existing ones, so they save money. It was a big time about cost cutting. I understand from business perspective, of course, but then that's when all the injuries happens, when all cabin crew were calling in sick. You could see a big difference, and we were also not allowed to have more than 5 days off in a row, because that was our benefit of having 5 days off, and you could prolong it with swapping with some other crew. They would give you a shorter flight with some 2 days off. You would give them longer flight, and like this you could have 8 days off, and that's when you could actually go and travel somewhere far, like, I don't know, US or South America, Australia.
But not as a cabin crew, but
no, like a passenger, like a holiday, little holiday. Or you could add it to your leave, so you extend your leave. So, but then this stopped.
Wouldn't you be even sick of it? Like, oh my God, plane again. I have 5 days off. I'd rather
for
stay.
For me, it was like the most important thing was to get to that destination and do what I want to do.
You went to South America, right?
Oh, that was the recent one before COVID, January 2020.
Okay.
That was my best experience, I would say. I went solo traveling. It was really rewarding. I had not much of a break. I had maybe 5 days off and 2 before and 2 after, so like 9 days, but it takes 4 days to reach there. It's 40 hours to reach. 3 airplanes to reach Patagonia and 3 coming back to Dubai. It was tough, but it's, like what you looking for and what the priority is, then you actually start compromising the other aspects. Also health sometimes comes in place.
What would be your tip how to deal with the jet lag, how to deal with that cabin pressure, like some kind of rituals, procedures, because you are in a community of people who do this as a job every day. You need to deal with this kind of stuff. So what would be your tip for people? Of course, if who are not doing it as a job, but they need to have a flight, what to do to get back on track as soon as possible.
So most important, hydrate. It's okay to use toilet many times. Just hydrate. Have this big bottle of water by at the airport, come with it already, and be prepared. Have a lot of like nuts or protein or anything that will keep you alive, right? Or whatever you want to do, if you want to sleep or if you want to work during your flight, depending what you want, that's how you actually snack, right? You know the best how it works. That's for the flying. And also sleep before the flight, after flight, and always listen to the body. If you feel you want to sleep, just go and rest. Don't push it too much. And of course you will wake up at 3 a.m. in New York. If you just, Dubai will be like, what time? It's going to be already 10 a.m.?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a bit.
It's morning anyway. It's somewhere in the morning.
You will be waking up.
But they are behind, right?
Say again?
They are behind our time.
Yeah. So Dubai will be already 10 a.m. In New York, it will be 3. So you will wake up anyway. Then I would just snack something and then I will go back to bed because you don't even realize, but you actually were hungry and you don't feel hunger. But then I would eat and then I fall asleep again. For me, the worst would be Australia. Anytime you travel east will be worse than traveling west. So then the jet lag will hit you more because you are very exhausted, you're tired, you are in bed trying to sleep, you can't fall asleep. So always listen to your body. If you feel like you're hungry, eat. If you feel like you're tired, just go and sleep or just lay down. And don't force too much with the workout. Of course, after like the sleep, for example, Europe, I always have my routine. I come from the flight, go a little nap, eat something very healthy, go for a long walk or anything. And then the next day I would wake up, have coffee, workout, and then proper breakfast and the flight. Okay. Yeah, so always we have our own routines. I cannot tell you like a set.
Just something what works for you.
Something that you listen to your own body.
I experienced with a couple of my friends. They were doing a procedure before taking the flight. They somewhere Googled it. I can't remember exactly, but they were basically trying to adapt to the time of the destination. So they started to already 5-7 days before a major travel. Of course, if it's 3 or 4 hours, it's not going to be that critical. But they were going to US for a couple of months and they started to adjust their sleep and wake up pattern based on that destination, but progressively. So first, 2 hours earlier to bed, 2 hours earlier wake up than normal. And then again, earlier. And by 1 hour, within 5 days, it messed up their kind of days a little bit here. But, sometimes waking up earlier is not a wrong thing. And then when they arrived, it took way shorter time to adapt. Because I don't know if you are familiar with it, but generally they say that as many hours of a difference, that many days, it equals to the days it will take you to recover and to set it up. So if it's 2 hour difference in 2 days, your circadian rhythms will catch up. Yeah. Well, whatever. But it's definitely not anything natural what body was designed to deal with. That's why we are so messed up after.
It might really work for someone who travels like once time per 3 months, but not for someone who is always in the air. Yeah. So then you will learn your own body. You will know what works for you. So I don't have a setup like, okay, you need to do that. And also during the flight, you need to move a lot because you will swell. When I fly as a passenger, I was coming back from Patagonia, from Sao Paulo to Dubai, and I was like sitting for 15 hours because I was sleeping. Then I woke up and I couldn't put my feet back in my shoes because they were so swollen. So as a passenger, it's quite difficult, but as a crew, you always walk around. So it's good. So if you're a passenger, just walk around, get up and stretch, move.
I'm going to make a video in my disk. if I can say it, about how to do all the exercises inside the plane. So like then I will give some advices how to exercise inside the plane while you are traveling.
If you go to China, you have like a full setup tutorial in the galley. People come and they do a lot of exercises.
Really?
It's really popular when you go to China.
It should be popular.
It should be.
Yeah. I mean, especially, in your company, the comfort is insane, like the level, when you look at the little bit older movies, like Home Alone and this kind of, and you see like, they are in a first class. Mm-hmm. It looks like it looks like economy.
Yes. Now
in your company, mm-hmm. right? Like the standard is very different. And if you are sitting there, you have 50, 100, I know how many movies, TV series, whatever it is, you have it available. You have your own
and Wi-Fi.
And Wi-Fi. Yeah. You don't even have to literally get up
from the seat.
Food is delivered to you. Okay, maybe you need to go to a toilet in 15 hours. Probably you should. But that's it, right? So it's very comfy. Me personally, I'm always looking forward to a flight, because there you can't do much. Like you don't have to stress about what will be coming or anything. You are already set, because you are set for that. Yeah, you relax. So I really enjoy, because I will watch movies I will never watch on my own at home. Yeah, so it's you making it hard for people to actually do all these procedures correctly.
Especially when you're sitting in first class and the seat is designed by NASA, so you feel like it's floating. It's called zero gravity.
I wanted to ask you about this first of all, because I don't know if we met since, but a big congratulations on your upgrade to the first class.
Thank you.
What is the difference? Because there's many people who probably not go there, or who are not willing to go there.
I really wish everyone could go and experience, because the service is just insane. We took 6 days, 9 hours every day just to learn how to serve. And that's when they actually tell you what's the difference in between response and reaction. Because reaction is something within you, like how you react, how you're like your emotion, but respond is how you stay professional and how you respond to certain situation, certain person, and how you keep it actually like high standard and professional.
Ben Bergeron is talking about this a lot in a different context, but it's still the same, dealing with people, right? Reaction is emotional and response is calculated. You know what you're doing. There are certain procedures, there are certain steps, and so on.
And that helps a lot in the experience of a certain passenger. Then you feel like, okay, this is a difference. This is what I pay for. It's not only about the product, it's about the crew. Imagine 10 years of experience already serving and flying and safety and emergency and everything. We have annual exams every year. We have to pass exam to keep the license, and also medical checks. So we go through all of this, and then you have this one person, one individual passenger who paid up front 50,000 dirham to go to US and back. And you're like, okay, we need to make this person feel like it's worth it. He paid, the value is there. So we don't wait for them to ask. We always offer.
Okay.
We have to offer. And the products are amazing. Like the wines, I just got to know that our port wine, 375 milliliters, costs 7,000 dirham. It's like $1,500 for a little bottle.
There.
Yes.
Okay.
Dom Perignon, vintage 2012, maybe 3,000 dirham a bottle. Yeah, so the wines, they are really like high standard. So we have to know about the product. We have the product, we deliver the product, and also the seat is just insane. Imagine it's created by NASA, and BMW is also cooperating with my airline for the seats, for the leather and everything, for the design. We also have binacles.
Is it vegan free? When you say leather, would some wealthy vegans?
I don't know, but we have pajamas that are moist, active. So
Really?
they keep your body moist.
So you get a pyjama in first class.
Yeah, pyjama, and also the noise cancelling headsets. They have 3 levels of cancellation. You have products for like skincare, and if you go to because we have showers, you can go to the spa shower and you have like a product that it's really hand-picked cotton, whatever you call it. Yeah, it's quite fancy.
Oh, how many seats are there for first class?
On the 380, 14, and on Boeing it's 8, unless you're flying the newest one with the NASA seats. That's 6 of them. Because in board, so we have 4 seats outboard with the access to the window, but you also have inside, it's like full and closed suite. When you close the door, it's all the way up to the ceiling. No one can see you.
It's like your apartment, basically.
Like in an apartment in a private jet. So when you close this the door, no one can see you. But then you are inside, and inside they design the seats in a way that you have a window, and the window has a built-in camera. There is a screen, and you can see live shooting what's happening outside.
So basically, you are in the middle.
Yes.
You don't have physical window,
no,
but they project it, and it looks like you have.
As you are outside, having the outside view.
Oh wow! Okay. When you say shower, is it a couple of showers, or is it one for everybody?
We have 2.
So but not everybody has a private shower. Not to that level.
No. You have to collect. No, it's still an airplane. It's not.
I know, but this is a pretty high standard anyway.
So we're doing really good job with like taking order who is going what time, and then.
Please tell me, how many crew is there for these 14 people?
3.
3 people for 14.
One is always in the galley, and 2 will be on each side on 380, and then on Boeing we have 2. One will be in the galley, one will be in the cabin. Mean? Galley is a kitchen, like they will prepare food.
Okay, cool.
And now we have a new plating, we call it Instagrammable plating, which is like everything has to come in place. Like if you take picture, you can actually post it because it's so beautiful and like in a high standard Michelin star restaurant. So we need a person in the galley to make sure like the food is always at a certain temperature and how they plate it on the plate and how they present it.
Has that person who is doing the presentation of the food a different course for that?
No, we all
can do that as well.
Yeah, we all got the same training.
I'm looking forward for next dinner. When you will do this for us.
Always welcome. And then on Boeing, we are 2 of us, but then there's also the leader, which is called purser. They will always come and help us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's...
And compared to that, you have how many people in economy?
On Boeing, on Boeing it's 310, and if you're flying 2 class without the first class, just business and economy on A380, it's 615 people, which is like around 560 economy.
How many crew for that?
26. 24.
Okay. That's a different ratio for sure.
We always have to have minimum cabin crew per door. So let's say on Boeing you have 10 emergency doors. That's the minimum crew you have to operate the certain flight, plus the purser, the leader.
Do you have allocated, like in case of emergency, I am taking care of this door?
Yes, of course. At the very beginning of the flight, you get your own station, and you have to make sure this is your station. This is your responsibility. The people who are sitting in this certain area are your people you take care of in case of emergency or anything. Fun fact also is when you board, you need to make sure you spot elderly, you spot pregnant ladies, you spot mobility impaired people, vision impaired people, also family with kids, and also emergency exit if it's occupied, like if fit, let's call it fit people can sit there. Preferably military or like you, like personal trainers, someone like who will help us in case of emergency. Also in case of restraining, because we also can restrain people, yes. If they cause too much problems and there is...
Did it happen to you?
Luckily, no.
Okay.
But to my friends...
You knocked out somebody?
We have that's the thing. We have a certain way to do it, because if you knock out someone, you're in a big trouble. Because why would you?
Yeah.
We have certain way, a group training that we do it all together. And if you follow the rules, the company will always back you up. But if you do it yourself, a big no.
So have you ever been in some emergency situation?
We had like rejected takeoff, which means you're about to take off, but you cannot. Like the pilot has to stop the airplane. We had rejected landing once. We were already approaching, and after all these years of flying, you will hear the engine noise. And by the time you approach, you know when will be the touchdown. But there was no touchdown. The pilot just put the engine on, like we are like, okay, we are speeding up. What's happening? And then the pilot would tell us like, oh, there was a dog on the runway. We couldn't land. It's really dangerous. So we had to go take off again, go around and land safely again.
Oh, wow.
Also in Iraq, there was a sandstorm. Same situation. We were about to land and again, they accelerate and we took off again without touching down. We had to go circles and go back safely. Same, we went to Seychelles. We couldn't land because of the thunderstorm. We had to go all the way to Mauritius, take additional fuel, additional food, and go all the way back to Seychelles. So we were like 10 hours late.
10 hours late?
And I couldn't get my suntan because my layover was so short. Just 9 hours.
That's a big problem.
It's the biggest problem.
But I remember that you were once involved in an kind of emergency flight, but you were not in the crew.
Oh, yeah. That was so scary. I was a passenger going from Warsaw to Dubai. And once we took off, I felt the weird pressure in my ear. I'm like, that doesn't happen really often. Like there's something wrong. And then there was this call to all flight attendants. And I knew it's something happening because there was a PA passenger announcement from the captain. He said a certain sentence that means like there is something happening. And not everyone knows about it, only cabin crew, so I won't disclose it.
There was a code basically.
There was a code, yes. So I knew already, and you could see in the cabin who is cabin crew flying as a passenger because everyone was like, what is happening going around? The crew stayed really calm, and the pilots were saying like, we need to dump the fuel because we're going to land because the weight of the aircraft is too heavy in order to land again back to Warsaw. So we had to dump it. But then after a few minutes, everything went back to normal. The pilots say it was the pressurizing technical stuff that was broken, but they reset it in flight so we could continue the journey. But the sentence that the captain said after takeoff, I was like, oh my God, is it a bomb? Are we landing in emergency? Are we going to... You have no idea because the code tells you there is an emergency. And then you just await the information. And sometimes pilots are so busy landing or taking off. They have a lot of checklists to go through. And they're so busy you cannot even communicate because they're busy. They won't take the call. So we need to wait. And then passengers, thank God, like no one knew because there was a code. But if there is something obvious, then the passengers will freak out and you cannot calm them down because you don't know.
Because
you need to wait.
Because it's 500 people anyway, right?
Yes.
So, okay. And then how were you feeling when everything went to normal?
Relaxed.
Let's say
okay.
you were like, okay.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay, so there's a problem with pressure with the cabin and now we'll have another 8 hours of flight or whatever it was.
5, it's fine. It's
5?
Okay.
So you trusted them,
So many flights I've done, yes. It's fine. It's totally fine. The calmness will help you. Patient and calm down.
Yeah, you can tell the team, yeah.
We had now, where did I go? Beirut. We had an amazing kid sitting in business. He came all the way to first to talk to us. He was such a sweetheart, 12 years old. He was so scared. We had some terrible turbulence for takeoff. He was crying. Even the captain came out. Yeah, even the captain came out from the cockpit to tell him, like, to explain how everything works to calm him down because...
Is it true that a plane cannot fall because of turbulence?
No. It can damage something.
Okay, let's not.
Better not.
Because to this moment, I heard it somewhere and I believed it. So when there are turbulence, I was like, okay, it's unpleasant.
Just the air.
But
that's what you say to passengers.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no,
so there was somebody very smart like you who made me to believe that.
No, it's just the air, actually. Just go through the air.
Sorry, Tim, I lied to you. I thought it's true.
But in the bigger airplanes, they are like the feeling of the turbulence isn't bigger than in smaller. Yeah,
no, it's the opposite. The bigger airplane will be less. The smaller will. Oh, you will feel.
I
more
was
the wind.
once on a flight. It wasn't with you. It was different company. It was from Amsterdam to Paris, where I was taking connection back to Dubai, and that was. I mean, I probably accepted that I will die on that flight. There was a turbulence. Maybe I was just too dramatic. I don't know. But the flight was like, they stopped serving coffee.
Yeah, that's normal.
Because it was jumping. But it was to a point that the cart, when the turbulence started, it was right next to me. Mm-hmm. And it jumped to a level of my seat. So the bottom of the cart with that heavy shit loaded on it was jumping up and down. The cabin crew, they were just laughing at it and trying to like hold it down. And they were just like, oh, whoa, you know, like a Santa, you know, trying to calm down the whatever is
cart, yeah.
The cart.
Did you have your seatbelt on?
Of course.
Yeah, good.
Of course. I
if
hope
you didn't,
there
you
is
could
more.
hit the ceiling.
Yeah.
And there were cases.
Yeah. Really?
Not on my airline, but I've seen some pictures like the ceiling was broken, like a lady hit it and there was like a hole in the panel above the head.
So you're sleeping there, right? on top of people?
Yeah, we were going to Japan, like a new fly over Himalayas, which is quite, I would say anxious. I was a bit anxious because you have Himalayas, it's really high and you have only certain way to land the airplane in emergency because there's not many options. So it takes exactly 22 minutes to land from that point where you are somewhere in Himalayas in emergency. That's why the oxygen system on Boeing, that's how long it lasts.
Okay.
If in case of rapid decompression, you will not have air, like the air from the airplane will be sucked out.
Have you
because of the pressure. So that's why you have the drop-down oxygen system and you need to put the oxygen on you first, then you help others, right?
Of course. Have you ever had an experience where it dropped?
No, thank God. Touch wood. We were not. So that's why we were going to Japan and then we were over Himalayas and there was a thunderstorm and I was quite scared. I was in the CRC. I was lying down. I had to put the seatbelt on and my legs were jumping all the way to the ceiling. You were kind of like, okay, let me hold on. And you were like tensing all the muscles in your body, but no, they were still flying around.
Wow. Okay, when we go back to your fitness, when did you start with CrossFit and how did this all, or this kind of functional training? Mm-hmm. When you transitioned
CrossFit,
from gym?
I really enjoyed like high intensity trainings. I started with Sean T. I don't know if you know him. I just downloaded few videos on my laptop, and then in a destination, I would just open my laptop and do whatever he was doing in front of the screen. So, but that was body weight. But it was quite tough. Like you get out of your breath and everything, and you get nice results. After that, I'm like, okay, let me try some less meals and. They were using some, weight and everything. And it was not enough for me. And then I heard about this Gold Box. They have some nice, entry for free for 7 days or something, like a trial. So I gave it a try. And one girl from my building, she actually took me there.
That time when you were coming there, I believe that there were people who were not paying at all because they thought it's a community gym where you just go for free. We experienced that, and they were offended that admins were asking them to pay.
No, I always pay.
What? I'm coming here for 3 months for free. Why should I pay now? So anyway, yeah,
so
7 day free, it's pretty standard.
It's amazing. So I went in 2016, that was April, and I started with the back squats, and I'm like, whoa, that's something good. And then we were doing crazy burpees and jumping over the box, and I was like, wow, this is something for me, because I was going out of breath. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fit. Let me do that shit.
Okay.
But then other girl, she was like, babe, you need to add some more weight next time you do this because you always keep on the same kettlebell. But yeah, you need to build the weight. So I started. Then also, I don't know if you know Bo, Dr.
Of
Bo.
course.
Yeah. Najib, I think, was talking about him. Mm-hmm. He was the one who always like put on more.
He was the first original head coach.
Mm-hmm. And also
Goldbox.
Megan. And yeah, I enjoyed them a lot. They were really good. That's how it started, the Goldbox. Mm-hmm. And now with Goldbox, I have so many members. Now I have amazing contact. That's when I was, let's say, born as a CrossFitter.
Mm-hmm. And that was possible to keep up with flying and everything, yeah?
Yes. So then I enjoyed it a lot. In 2018, when I said like we had this cutting costs and everything, we were exposed to more flights and all of that. So I started seeing a big change, especially with my heartbeats. I started having palpitations. I didn't understand why. So then I started like, okay, let me go to the doctor.
How did you notice it at first?
You felt it.
You
feel
felt it?
Yeah. You're sitting or you're doing anything. And it's like, like a stabbing pain, like someone would stab a knife in your chest. And then you want to get a breath and they're like something like you don't expand your whole chest, which also happened to me after COVID. I had COVID in August 2021. 6 months. It took me 6 months to get back to my normal resting heart rate. And I'm like, okay, let me go to the doctor. I was talking with some crew on the flight and they're like, no, just go check it. Okay, let me go. And that's when we can use again the word grounded, because that's when I was grounded. I went to the doctor and they gave me a specialist cardiologist, and it has to be a special cardiologist, which is GCAA licensed, which is for the Gulf aviation. And I went there and he gave me like a beta blocker. And then the clinic, my airline clinic called me and they're like, Agata, we need you here to come and check something. I'm like, am I dying or what? So then I went and the doctor told me, oh, you are not allowed to take this medication while flying. I'm like, yeah, but I got it from GCAA cardiologist, which is like an aviation doctor. And they're like, no, we need to ground you. So I was on ground for 2 weeks, stopped the medication because you cannot take it. So I didn't take any more of this. And then I started realizing, okay, I think I need to relax a little bit more because I was flying, I was doing CrossFit, I was doing weightlifting, I was going for swing yoga, swimming, and all of this. Like, I was so active. I just need to. So
after 8 years, it caught up with you.
6,
all this craziness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, so sleep. I put sleep as my priority. And I also asked you, Paolo, to help me out with my training. You remember that was July.
Yep.
And Tima was there. She assessed me and you will say like, oh, you don't have lats, your pelvis, you have this and that. So you guys assessed me and you helped me so much, especially with the breathing.
Well, I'll tell you my part of it, okay? Yeah. You came with your hip. If you remember, you came to me with your hip, if we can look at it. So we did the assessment and everything. And we started with the strong fit oblique opener. So lower abs, obliques activating. And I noticed that you're not really breathing kind of like correctly, right? Mm-hmm. So it was just relearning that nose in, mouth out, nice and slow. Mm-hmm. And then after 2 weeks, you told me like, oh, by the way, I have this heart condition. I didn't even know. You told me after 2 weeks of training, like, I have this heart condition and it got better. And basically from 10% of palpitation, we put it to 1% by doing breathing, which I didn't even know will help because I gave it to with just a pure purpose of relearning that pattern correctly. So that blew my mind that time. Like that was
even Julian was like, right?
Yeah, Julian was like, oh wow, this is something.
Discovery.
Yeah, like we didn't even know that it can help that much, And the funny part, or maybe more the sad part of it all, was that it was already a year or how long in, and you were like, doctors told me not to take creatine. You stopped creatine. Then they said, okay, that didn't do anything. So let's do creatine again. Then stop protein supplements, stop protein, then start protein again, stop training completely. And they basically tried everything. And at the end, as a byproduct of a different exercising, just fixing your breathing triggered your parasympathetic nervous system and basically weighted it to a balance that what is the situation now?
Now it's perfect.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's just the doctor told me, you have athletic heart because it's bigger. Like the dimension is a bit bigger when you check, because I have all possible checks.
There's actually two ways the heart can be bigger: concentric and eccentric. Concentric is when the wall of the heart gets thicker. That's on weightlifters. And eccentric, that's more on people who do endurance, because the actual heart. So which one?
For me was conditioning.
Conditioning, yeah. So basically just the capacity of the heart is bigger.
So they said I have depolarization. And I was so scared. You have no idea. I was like, wow, am I gonna die? Am I gonna get a heart attack? On the flights, I was always choosing one senior, and I was telling, please watch me if anything will happen. I have this condition. I'm clear to fly, but please just check on me because I'm scared myself. Because when you feel this pain, it's like, what's gonna happen to me?
How often was it happening?
Quite often, when I was on a long flight, and also when I was taking creatine, I felt it more. I stopped completely with pre-workouts. I don't really do pre-workouts, but when I took some, I could feel like...
But creatine is not a pre-workout.
Yeah, I'm talking about the pre-workout.
Okay,
if I
separately.
took, I could feel some. So I was scared, and I'm like, okay, let me not take
no
it.
shit, it just increased your heart rate.
Exactly.
So, more towards sympathetic again, which you were already too far there.
Exactly.
And you needed a balance to the opposite side.
That's why I'm talking about the sleep so much, because for me, my parasympathetic was out of place. I wouldn't go straight to parasympathetic. I was always in sympathetic. I don't know if you noticed, but before our belly breathing exercises, I had a little fat on under the belly. It was from the cortisol as well. So I got rid of this by breathing. I was so happy about it, because you have no idea.
Aesthetic goals.
Yeah, aesthetics.
Yeah, well, but that's what we know. That's not a secret, right? When people are chronically stressed, they tend to hold more fat on the lower belly, right? Even a lot of bodybuilders or a high level, whatever athletes they are, CrossFitters, powerlifters, they can be ripped, they have six pack and everything, but that little pouch, that little line on the lower abs, it's there. And
button.
It can be inactive lower abs or just purely being too far in sympathetic.
Also
and
the food, I changed the food as well. Only non-processed. Of course, it will happen. I will have a protein bar or something.
And also regulation, what we did, right?
Yes,
regulation of states, sympathetic, parasympathetic, through the food. So if you want to rest and digest, have protein. If you want to train and be active, have carbs. But don't mix it.
Exactly.
So that was, and the hip.
And the hip. So
and the hip.
How we discovered, actually, we done the CrossFit Open 2018. It was 18.4 when we had 21 deadlifts and then 21 handstand push-ups.
That's where you discovered the hip.
Yes. With you. You were my judge.
The one you won the main prize, yeah?
Yes, I won the prize for being hospitalized.
Yeah, being hospitalized after CrossFit Open.
18.4. So this year I saw it, I'm like, no, it's again the same.
Because
I'm not going to do it.
In a workout of deadlifts and handstand push-ups, she managed to destroy her back on the handstand push-ups. Not on the deadlifts.
You were next to me. You were
I know.
She's doing good deadlifts.
Yeah, deadlifts were great. They were hinging properly. Everything was going well. And then when the handstands came, the kick was there, but that last push always fatigue. Last push always overarched. Then you fixed it.
And no lats. Yeah. In my case, at this time.
So, and then suddenly Agna didn't come for the last
18.5.
18.5 because she was hospitalized.
I was in the hospital.
You even
such a pain, my QL. quadratus lumborum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the lower, like it was on the left side. It attaches to the gluteus. Tima will know for sure. It attaches to the glutes and then the lower spine, like L5, L1, L5.
To simply put it, it connects your ribs and the pelvis. Yeah?
Exactly.
And it's a little stabilizer.
And it's stabilizer. So for me, this stabilizer, it's over working because my right hip is not working. But why is not working? That's the all the drama. So we discovered that I had the spasm in QL on the left side. So I went to the doctor, and to get a referral for MRI, you need to be like really like begging them because of course cutting costs and all of this. I got it somehow. I got MRI, and then on the MRI they say there is a structural change in the right hip. They diagnosed me with FI, which is femur acetabular impingement, CAM type. That means like if you have a femur bone, which is your when you have your quads, that's the bone, that's the femur. The head of the bone comes into the socket of a joint in your pelvis, and that head of the femur bone had additional bony tissue all around that it's not supposed to be there. It came from no one knows which reason.
Usually that's also impingement on the shoulder when you have it. It's when two bones are rubbing each other for whatever reason. It can be basically arthritis is similar, right? When you have degeneration of the structures there. Okay.
Now I have arthritis after the surgery, but I will tell you after the whole story.
Yeah, the thing was that there wasn't two bones were rubbing on each other on the place where they were not supposed to, and bone's natural reaction is that it will grow and calcify its own structures, which makes the space even smaller and it rubs even more. So
for me the case was that the femur had additional bone and it was rubbing the labrium, which is like a seal. You have like a seal over your windows or in the door.
Yeah.
To prevent like the dust coming to the house or whatever. So there is a little seal which is called labrium, and there is a tissue like a sponge, a cartilage. So that bone was always rubbing the labrum. So in my case, the labrum got detached. What was the diagnosis? We will need to shave the bone and sew back the labrum back to its place. And the labrum was also destroyed, so they would need to also remove the tissue that was just floating around there.
But they told you this was going on for such a long time, right?
Yeah.
You never felt anything.
Yeah, MSK doctor, he told me that might have happened 15 years ago.
And started to feel most of the pain after the surgery, right?
Yes, I had zero pain. That's funny. But you would see in the functional movements, I wouldn't do like full range of motion, or there was something not working. I don't feel the gluteus medius or something like that, like the stabilizers. I will always compensate with different part of my body to...
And you never had a pain there?
No.
So
not inside the joint. I had it on my QL after the handstand push-ups or whatever you call it. I had it there because there was a spasm. And there was like, okay, why is this QL taking over so much? Why your glute is not working well? Why do I have a snapping hip? Because I had external snapping hip because the IT band was like rolling over the... Can
you explain it more?
Maybe Tima, you know.
It will just, you can see that it's going out of, but it's like click on the hip. It's the same what you are doing with the shoulder. When you are clicking the shoulder.
Okay, yeah, my bad shoulder. Yeah.
So just one muscle is going like.
Yeah, it's so tense. Like it will go over the how we call it, great throw hunter. The bone, yeah. So the IT band is so tight, like it will go around it without spreading. So it will cause like clicking, not a sound, but a feeling. Whenever I was going below 90 degrees hinge. So we had to also fix that, which was called Z-plasty. They had to actually cut the IT band in a Z letter shape. So they cut it. It's gonna be like
they did it to loosen it up.
To loosen. So I went to Poland. this COVID actually gave me a little bit of something positive. Like I could take unpaid leave to fix myself. And they actually sew back the labrum. They put 4 anchors. Normally they would put 2, but for me it was 4. That's how much...
You paid more, huh?
Yeah, but I was actually lucky to get the referral, and my company paid for it.
What they did for? Why they did the 4 anchors?
Because it was so bad. It was a lot of damage. Yeah, and it's quite interesting how the procedure looks like, because I didn't want to Google anything. I didn't want to check, so I'm not that stressed. I would just go take that gas and go to sleep. So I was really surprised when I came to the operation room, and they asked me to have big socks and put like a boxer shoes on. Like they were very high. I'm like, why is it for? They're like, you will see. I'm like, okay, I'm going to the room and I see the bed, operation bed. It has like a big peg in front of you. Like you have a bed, and in front you have a big, I would say, peg, right? And you have 2 pedals. So they would wrap around your legs.
Strap you
in the pedals so you don't move. Then I Googled it after the surgery, because I'm like, why my knee hurts so much and it's like swollen, and also the crotch. So the peg is for a reason. They put you against it so they can lift the operated leg, they can lift it up and turn it external rotated for 15 degrees, and they actually take it out of the socket. Like your bone will be out of the socket.
So they literally detached your leg.
Detached to clean it, and then to sew the labrum and to clean the one that was already broken, like the pieces, little pieces. Because then I have a camera. They had camera there, right? Because it's arthroscopic surgery, which means they do little incision and they put the camera. And you will have that recorded. So we have like a video afterwards. I have the CD at home, and I was watching it. Yeah, of course. And all I saw was just like little debris going inside the water, because they had to pump water, I think, right? Like some liquid inside.
Yeah, the urination.
And then you would see floating, and they had to remove the debris that was there already. And then they also did the Z-plasty, which is cutting the IT band, and that's how I have the big scar. I wouldn't have the scar from the surgery, from the fixing the labrum. I would have the scar from cutting the IT band.
So that one, they opened you?
Yes.
They opened it on the side?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was once to open. And then the physio started.
And how is it now?
I feel it every day.
And you didn't feel it before?
I didn't feel it before. So
and the QL, at least that's better?
It is a little bit better, but still I don't feel the glutes.
And now this is not to, create any controversies or against doctors or anything, but would you go again?
I think I would, because of the labrum. It was already detached. It was already broken. So that would cause more damage to the bones. But actually, we repeated the MRI after 1 year. And what it shows is that I have already damage in the bones.
Again?
Now it's created even more damage, because now I don't have the cartilage as much as I used to have. And now the bones is like rubbing one to another one, and that's how
Are you going for some injections, like the synovial fluid?
I'm trying to actually, I will think about it now. Because I'm doing a lot of exercises, I'm doing all what the physio tell me, and there is not much progress. I feel the progress in QL, I feel the progress how I move, the functional movements are so much better, and everything is wow. Like I can see the range of motion and everything. It's so much better. But there is a bit of pain, especially when I walk more than 15,000 steps a day.
So you have that
yes,
mark.
I have a mark.
Yeah? 14,000, okay, 15, too much. When you did the surgery, they gave you physio, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's going pretty okay?
That was
kind
pretty
of okay?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And
you will see how your body works, because you have weight bearing for 6 weeks or 8. I was 8 weeks on the crutches, orthopedic crutches. And you will see how your body will work in order to support you and different muscle will work different week. So I will do my exercises. I will work on the quads, but then the other muscle will be like weaker. And then the stabilizers that are supposed to stabilize it and be strong, they're actually super tight. So then you go to physio, Tima can relate, and then they will release the tense ones, but the ones that are supposed to be strong are very weak. So it's all upside down, and you need to kind of relearn everything. So you need to forget what you learn and then learn again from the beginning. Like actually, I had to learn how to walk again after I
now
got rid of the crutches.
More correct than before?
Probably, yes.
Maybe.
Unless I limp because I was doing like too much walking. Or no, I don't run now, or I don't do jumps.
Is it impacting you at work?
At work, not much, unless it's very long. And if I lift something at work, like I have to move too much, then yes. But
it can be due to high heels there.
No, we have flat shoes on board.
Yeah? I
Yes,
didn't
and
know.
But you have heels, like small heels, right?
I choose the
even-
smallest heels, but this is only for airports and to enter the aircraft. But once you're in the aircraft, you can change for flat.
Oh, cool.
And actually, the shoes, they created a lot of bunions in all cabin crew feet, so that's a big problem. But now we have a lot of knowledge and exercises, and you can work with the bands, or now I got toe spacers and all of this. That helps a lot. And I also do a lot of like webinars and certifications. So I know myself, because I cannot relate only on one physiotherapist, because imagine they have only 45 minutes for you. They will never tell you what you can learn yourself.
Oh,
And it's not their fault. It's not like they don't care. It's like they don't have time. Like
it's the ones you have like allocated through your company, yeah? That
Yes.
ones you mean. When you say like you educate yourself a lot, and you have even you have level 1, right? So you're CrossFit level 1 trainer. With all these, like it's kind of a pattern I can see also with a lot of cabin crew, like, you know, because they train, because they need to look a certain way, they need to keep the BMI standard, and then basically they fly, train. A lot of them are into fitness a lot, and there is quite a few who transition, right, eventually to either some therapists or coaches, and
we have a lot of coaches, like the life coach or personal trainers. They study psychology, they study social studies. Like there's so much going on. A lot of cabin crew in my company, they're already like with master, or they do something on the side. I fly with people with PhD in math. So
really,
yes,
like and then you think about it, it's like, oh, they have so much time, huh?
Yeah, and then you come on board, and then some of the people treat us like we just do tea coffee, but it's not the case. It's not at all. And what we went through to get to that point, it's a lot of hard work and experience, and learning on your own mistakes and on your own experience. Like,
especially you are basically in one of the most respected airlines, if not the most respected airlines in the world, right? I think
we just got an award again next, like 9 times in a row for the Middle East best airline.
Nice. Aneta, right? She did a degree in
yes, Anetka, yes.
Yeah, Anetka, she did a degree in some economy or something. That's crazy.
Yes,
I mean, like even from a different country, like living here, normal full-on life, flying, and doing a university in, I think it was in Poland.
I'm not too sure. A lot of crew are doing London, like...
maybe it was, I'm not sure now.
I think she's done something from UK.
That's impressive. So what is your next step? You got your... Where can you move from where you are right now? You got your first class?
Oh yeah, you can go for supervisor, you can go for the purser. That's the limit, the purser. Then
only pilots, yeah?
Yeah, but I don't have this training. Yeah, but that's the chain of command, like first is captain and then first officer, then comes the purser. So the purser is the boss of the cabin crew, and it's like a link between cockpit and the cabin in case of anything.
When you say you don't have training for pilot, I mean, like, that's probably not the easiest thing, right? But
and money.
Yeah,
it's very expensive.
It's expensive. What does it take? Do you know from the pilots?
What I know in my airline is if you're national, they will take you as a cadet. So you will get a license to fly before you have a license to drive the car. They're so young. Mm-hmm. So for the nationals here, they will do that, but not for any other expats. What they like to have, it's a pilots from different airline that they already have a certain hours. So they're already experienced.
Okay, so basically it's...
You cannot come here like now, and I'm going to start training here.
Okay.
No, it's not like
they only take already experienced people, yeah?
As far as I know, maybe something changed. But
do they also train landing on the water?
Oh no, I don't know how to land. But today I saw news that in Orlando, a passenger landed the aircraft Cessna, like a small airplane. I think with the ATC control help, air traffic control.
Yeah, well, you have so many movies about that, right? Like, oh my God, all the terrorists are dead. How do we land now? And the controller will help you.
You also know how to behave when there is a terrorist, so...
You know how to behave when there is a terrorist?
We have a training, but I don't know how I will behave if there is a terrorist.
Yeah, hopefully you won't get there at any point. Well, this is also, now with all the safety, you can't you can't have a nail clippers, right? So it's fine. They didn't want to allow me to bring a can meat because it can be dangerous.
Did you eat it before? Before entering the airplane?
I'm not sure if I can say it, but I made him to let me. I told him that next time I will put it into a smaller package and he'll let me with it. Yeah, sure. But yeah, Agatka, is there anything you want to say or talk about?
Maybe to the people who are starting the fitness journey, like get a proper coach, get them assess you, check what you have to learn before going under like a heavy barbell. See what you need to progress, like in my case, the lats, the glutes. So then I'm ready to go and do something more advanced rather than going under heavy barbell or doing like keeping pull-ups and destroy your body. And also always listen to your body, like know how to go into the parasympathetic state where you can relax and you can reset and be ready for the next impact rather than going all the time in the sympathetic and you want to like kill a lion.
Well, that's the funny part, right? When you use the analogy with a lion, you said it, right?
Yes.
A lion, yeah. So these hunting animals, they know it way better than anybody else. Cheetah, it can run 120 miles or whatever, or per hour, but it can run like that for maybe 4 seconds, and then it needs to rest for maybe a couple of hours.
I think 30 seconds. I was listening.
30 seconds what?
Rest. 30
seconds run,
and then
30 minutes. Or I'm not sure.
I'm not sure about the numbers, but I know that it's very big disproportion because they need to cool down. They need to get the body temperature down, and you can't just go all the time. As you said, you need to have a balance and remember that you're getting better when you're resting. The training is only a stimulus. But the training should be there. Yeah, it's not like you're getting better when you're resting all the time, but the training is only the stimulus to kick the system in. And if you have such a stressful environment, as you said, that's already kind of like a training.
Yeah, that's my workout.
Yeah, that's your workout.
Yeah. There's so many aspects. Passengers, other crew, management.
Also mental strain. Yeah.
You don't know what you've done. Like, you don't know what you're going through. Like, you have family issues, you have health issues, you have, I don't know, boyfriend, girlfriend relationship. All adds up. And then you are thrown into an airplane when you have to like be like, again, tabula rasa with that, like, you forget about it. You need to be professional. You cannot bring it on board because this will affect everything and everyone. You can have a full cabin, 500 people, and have the best flight. And you can also have like an empty cabin with 12 people, but one person can make it hell. So I would say, don't judge. Go as you like. You don't have this background of the issues that you had at home. You just come and you embrace what's coming to happen, and you are there to put you are the one to create your environment. You are adapting to the environment that is there, but you're also there to create it for yourself. So if you are coming with a negative thoughts, negative vibration, it will all spread. It's better to forget what happened, shut down your phone, flight mode on,
and your mouth.
Then yeah, sometimes yes. That's actually also frustrating when you cannot respond in the way you would like to, depending on what you think. But then that's why you have the training for, and then you release the...
So do you have a punching bag at the back?
No, I have my workout, my CrossFit, and then you can also talk to other people that in the galley that no one can hear you. You know?
What a dick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or different words.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And probably not the last time, because there is so much to talk about with you. So
travel.
Yes. Travels. Fitness. And we didn't even touch on the most amazing experience with passengers and so on. So we'll keep that for for the next time. More entertainment. Okay. Thank you so much, Agatka.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.